Today on the channel, we unbox the most beloved Star Wars character of all time, Jar Jar Binks. Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to our daily Star Wars unboxing on the channel. And today we got a special one. We've got the most beloved character of the Star Wars universe, and that of course is Jar Jar Binks. And for all your Black Series needs, make sure you hit up Big Bad Toy Store. Link in the description below. A little tongue-in-cheek on the Jar Jar, probably the most hated Star Wars character in my lifetime. We all fell in love with Jar Jar during The Phantom Menace and really helped us tune out of that movie. Since then, I've mentioned it before on the channel, I've went back and watched those movies recently. Better than I remembered. Still not my favorite Star Wars. They really toned Jar Jar down after The Phantom Menace, thankfully. He just kind of made a few appearances here and there. But I do really feel it was time to get a Jar Jar in the Black Series, and that's what we got. Now, Hasbro made one huge error from where I sit, which is right here. You can see me sitting. What I think is this should have been a regular release. The $20 standard Star Wars Black Series release, Jar Jar should have fit in there, because I think he would have sold okay. He would have been no different than a Tebow or an Admiral Akbar, something like that. You'd probably be able to find him around, but he would sell through and the inventory would move through. Instead, Hasbro did a bit of a head scratcher, at least to me, probably to some of you out there as well. They made him a deluxe Star Wars Black Series figure in the $30 price range, $10 more than a traditional Black Series. I guess because he's a little bigger maybe, or he comes with more accessories, that's really the reason. I don't know, like I said, head scratcher for sure, because we're seeing full cases of Jar Jar, which I believe is it's either 6 or 8 in a case. I don't know about your guys' area. My area right now, Targets are resetting all the shelves. New stuff everywhere, but you know what? That new stuff, those Royal Rumble Elites, those Marvel Legends Into the Spider-Verse, those don't last very long on the pegs. They're brand new. People want them. Unfortunately, Jar Jar, putting 8 Jar Jars up, he is warming the pegs hard right now when a lot of new toys are not. They're moving fast. It'll be a month or so before things start catching up with the demand, I think. But unfortunately, right now, I could literally go to any of my surrounding Targets and I could probably pick up about 25 Jar Jar Binks if I wanted to. That makes me say, for you guys out there, pro tip of the day, probably play the long game unless this is a must-have for you, as I think Jar Jar will be clearanced down the road. That's just a hot tip there. But for some of you guys like myself that couldn't wait to get your hands on Jar Jar, here we are. We're going to unbox him here on the channel. So a little Jar Jar discussion of what's going on in the pegs right now. Now, let's take a look at the packaging for Jar Jar. You guys know I love this new Star Wars Black Series packaging. Very rarely do I like the new packaging style over the old. I guess I just don't like change. But this is a phenomenal package, and I absolutely love these. So let's take a look at it. So traditional, we've seen this as of late. This is the new packaging. You got Phantom Menace with the kind of, it's a yellowish color. I don't know my colors, I guess. I don't know if it's a mustardish yellow. It's a gray poupon yellow on the Phantom Menace. And it's number 1. This figure's number 1 in the Phantom Menace series. So it'd be very interesting to see who we get. Will we get a small boy Anakin? Will we get some pod racer guys? Will we get a young Greedo? We'll see what happens with that line. But Black Series at the top, of course, the traditional black. And then you got the Jar Jar and all the names and a little bit of that kind of stuff down here. You can see the big window box. This is a deluxe, so it is a little bit bigger. Very similar to that Mandalorian Child 2-pack, same size. That figure flies off the shelves. Jar Jar, unfortunately, not so much. It comes with this big shield from the battle he had back in the day. And yeah, so there he is. There's Jar Jar on the side. Nothing good there. Nothing really good on the top. Nothing but legal fun on the bottom, keeping those lawyers employed. And there's the old glamour shot of Jar Jar. Look at him, just looking stoic. Looking stoic off to the side. And just looking up like, you know what, I'm the man. I'm probably going to save this universe. I'm Jar Jar Binks. I'm going to luck my way into it. So there it is. And then, of course, you got the back of the package. Same picture of Jar Jar. We got a little blurb. We'll read that in a second. You got number 1, Phantom Menace with the band down there and some more legal fun down below. So let's read the back. Let's see what it says about our pal Jar Jar. Jar Jar Binks, a clumsy, well-meaning Gungan outcast on Naboo. Jar Jar Binks struggled to prove his worth throughout his life. So there you go. It's a bit of a sad story, the tale of Jar Jar Binks. He struggled. Nobody ever thought anything of Jar Jar. He just struggled through life, depressed and probably on some kind of alien drugs, probably trying to figure himself out. That's probably why he was so goofy all the time. But, he did get a spot in the Senate and all that kind of stuff. So I'd say he did pretty well for himself, all things considered, with Jar Jar's attitude and stuff. But without further ado, let's open the box. Let's see how good this Jar Jar figure is. Does it hold up? Do some of you guys still have bad flashbacks to the Phantom Menace series way back in the day? They made so many Jar Jar Binks, and I'm going to probably be unboxing a lot of those. I do have I think a complete Phantom Menace collection to unbox still, and I'm probably going to have 15 different Jar Jar Binks floating around my collection. It's going to be crazy. See you later. A little plastic prison action. Let's get rid of this one. See you later. There he is. Plastic prison Jar Jar. I'm a fan of these crazy, zany aliens in the Star Wars universe, galaxy, whatever you want to call it. I always like the crazy alien figures. See you later. So there it is. But yeah, there's Jar Jar Plastic Prison. Now let's unbox him here. Taking a look. I'm soaking him in. He looks all right. It looks good. One thing I really appreciate with the Hasbro Black Series figures is Marvel Legends, wrestling, a lot of the other lines out there, it's reuse, reuse, reuse. Star Wars reuses when they can, but when you got such crazy alien creatures, you can't really turn this head sculpt into Bib Fortuna down the line. It just doesn't work that way. So there's a lot of one-off head sculpts. I mean, they could probably turn Jar Jar into that one general, starts with a T. I'll never be able to pronounce it, so I won't even try. But they might make him down the line, and they can reuse some of this. But traditionally, there's not a lot of reuse in the Star Wars canon. You got people of different sizes, stuff like that. You can reuse some body parts and stuff. But traditionally, a head like this, you're not going to get a lot of play out of it. So I always do appreciate that with Star Wars Black Series. I guess they have no choice in the matter. And that is part of the reason we don't get quite the articulation that we get with some of our other Hasbro properties, because they got to put a lot of tooling into these extra heads. Makes a lot of sense. All right, pull these pieces out here. All right. Oh my, they got Jar Jar strapped in. They don't want him falling out. They sit on the back of the box. He is clumsy, so that does make sense. He could fall out of the back of the box. See you later, Jar Jar. All right, get this rubber band out. Rubber band. Let's look at these accessories. I'm guessing this plugs into each other. Little spear type action. Love a good spear. Very underrated weapon. Look at that. It's a long one, too. Very long. Very cool. This is one of those things, I don't even remember what it's called. I'm not even going to try to remember because I don't. But they all had these ball things. And they were just chucking them like that in that end of the Phantom Menace battle. But very good. I like the I don't know, the core on this. That blue is really cool. It's not see-through, but it is. It's kind of got a mirror to it. I can see my lights off it and stuff. So really cool. A little color added to the thing. And then this is his shield. You guys remember all those shields those guys had? Very good. A little dusty. I don't see any issues with it. I don't see any paint scratches. I don't see any paint imperfections across the board, which that is great. You guys know me. I love my figures not having paint imperfections. But Jar Jar, yeah, he's got double knees. What do you know? We went all out on Jar Jar. Very cool. Is his mouth open? His mouth does not open, so I wondered about that. Got good. Wow. More articulation than I expected with Jar Jar. He's got the diaphragm. He can turn side to side. He's got the double knee, which is a nice touch. Regular elbow, wrist, head. But his head can move up, down, all around. Ankle articulation. So he's got more articulation than I guess I gave him credit for. So there's a plus on the Jar Jar. You could put his head in all kind of what am I thinking moments. There he is. But you guys know that's Jar Jar. The minute you see that, there's no questioning. This is Jar Jar Binks. The man, the myth, the legend. There he is. I like the shading of the orange on his arms. It's a crazy scaly pattern. and then the inside is a lot more white. So very cool there, and they did some of that shading. But yeah, you can really move his head in all kinds of different Jar Jar directions. You know, like, it's like Lemmy when I tell him, hey, Lemmy, you want a treat? He gets you that, what? Huh? Did I hear the word treat? You could do that with Jar Jar. He'll move his head in all kinds of different directions. I think that's all right. This figure's all right. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's that more special than a $20 one. I guess you're paying for these extra accessories, or maybe you're paying for that first time in the line Jar Jar experience. Maybe they're just going to really go crazy, and they're going to go throw it back to the old Phantom Menace days. We're just going to be Jar Jar Onslaught in 2021. He's going to be in every series. He'll ride that one thing he rides. He'll have some guns with him. All kinds of Jar Jar. We'll get Senator Binks. We'll get all of them. This kind of looks like a big microphone, like he's getting ready to sing some songs. Jar Jar, take it away, Jar Jar, sing it. But I like this figure more than I thought I would. So I always say on the channel, that's always a good deal. When a figure blows away your expectations, I had pretty low expectations. A cool alien I'm all right with. I don't mind I don't mind Jar Jar figures, but I don't want as many as we had back in the day. It was Jar Jar overkill, and to me, it wasn't as much as Jar Jar in the movie that drove me nuts, which he did, but it was all of his different figures. They released 20 different Jar Jar figures, which seemed like in a 6-month time frame. That drove me absolutely nuts, and that's what soured me on Jar Jar Binks. Not so much the character, even though he was definitely no Ewok. I know that's the age-old debate. A lot of people say the Ewoks were similar to Jar Jar back in the day, and there's no way that is true in my book. So, but there it is. This Jar Jar is very solid. Is it worth $30? You'll have to ask yourself that question. Maybe there'll be some deals. I don't really see any deals out in the stores till probably Easter time frame. But Big Bad Toy Store, you can pick this guy up. I'm sure other places out there as well. But solid. And if you're getting a Phantom Menace collection, for good or bad, for better or worse, you have to have a Jar Jar Binks in that collection. So there you go. Star Wars Black Series Deluxe Edition, #1 in the Phantom Menace line, Jar Jar Binks. You guys tell me in the comments. Are you picking this up? Is this an easy pass? Do you like Jar Jar? Do you hate Jar Jar? Is there anybody that Jar Jar is their favorite Star Wars character? Is there anybody in the world? I would love to know, and I'd love to meet that person and shake their hand. But make sure you like the video. Like I said, give it a comment. And then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We got a Star Wars unboxing every single day in 2021. And you don't want to miss one, so hit the notification bell. And for Jar Jar Binks, I'm Kyle. I'll see you guys all real soon.